Bang bang to the gang. Faithful Boys Podcast. Been good. P Warrior _9. With a special guest today. We're gonna have Nine and Nate, host of Nine and Nate's No Nonsense Podcast. He'll be joining us a little shortly. But y'all know what it is, baby. It's time to preview that big game coming up Saturday. Two-story franchise, San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Oh man. Think it's gonna be a hell of a game, bro.
Yeah, I agree. As always, bang bang. Just continue to like, subscribe, comment on the page. Looking forward to having 9 and 8 on from Nine is Nonsense. He'll be joining us shortly to get his perspective on the game. He lives out there in Cali and lives in that area, so we'll be able to kind of get his finger on the pulse of what is going on out there as they prepare for Green Bay. Like you said, being good, two-story franchises, Super Bowl winning franchises that's playing, and they ain't no strangers to meeting each other in the playoffs. So
This is true.
yeah, we don't want the last three. For a while, Green Bay was kicking us pretty good when they had Brett Favre and the boys back in the day, and Aaron Rodgers when he was hell, he's still in his prime, but when he was younger. But
Right.
we didn't have the better of matchups here the last couple of times, so we just gotta hope that the odds, work in our favor. But like I said, it's gonna be a good matchup. Look like everybody healthy. I was just watching some of the practice from Grant Cohn, and they were showing Jimmy throwing. He looked good throwing it. You showed
Yeah, I think it's a
you could
bit of the
see,
clips too, bro.
yeah, you could see Fred Warner moving around pretty good. Al Greenlaw. So for the most part, you see Nick out there. He wasn't, he had the helmet, but he, wasn't really participating because he's still in concussion protocol. But just the fact that he out there, that's a good sign.
Hell
So,
yeah.
like I said, man, yeah, so these boys gonna be ready, man. They know what's at stake. Like we talked about Sunday, and even I talked about on Monday with the always faithful 24/9 crew. Won't give them love on Mark and Ryan.
Yeah, big shout
That
out.
was an excellent show that that I was on with them, and we're gonna have them on God willing next week, to recap the game and get their thoughts and their observations and
Look,
what they
look,
think.
I saw when he tried to hit you with the trivia question at the end, you know.
Oh, I was right, dog. I was
Well,
right.
well, hey, bro, I know.
I,
Look, when he started reading, I was like, oh yeah, got that one.
yeah. So it's all good. Yeah, 9 and 8 just getting settled. So in about 5 minutes he'll be joining us, and then we'll go ahead and start chopping it up for Green Bay. But while we wait for him, man, I just think that the key to the game, of course, is, offensively, can we move the ball, and when we get in that red zone, score points and our field goals, because that's what it's gonna take. And then defensively, it's gonna be third down. Can we get off the field on third downs? Because I think we'll be able to get them from some negative yardage plays. They're gonna make some plays, we gonna make some plays. But when it's that 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15, or even a third and less than 5, say a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 1, can we make the play defensively to get them off, especially if we ahead or if they ahead, to get the ball back to give ourselves a chance to win. So it's going to be situational football as much as the scheme, and as much as the matchup, individual matchups, and offensive line, defensive line, running game, that kind of thing. That's going to really determine the outcome of the game. What situations can we get them in to be able to stop them, and can we take advantage of when we have them at a disadvantage?
Right.
So yeah, I think the situational football piece is going to be crucial in this game, because you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. They have an excellent football team. So we really got to be on top of our game in a situational part of the game. And that's where, we got to trust that Kyle's going to make the right decisions, even what if it come down to a fourth in the yard, and we need a yard to keep the drive alive, to get the winning touchdown, and get in position to kick the game time field goal or the winning field goal. It just, we throwing out hypotheticals, but it could come down to that in the game. So,
Right.
we got to be ready for those situational type moments. Can we execute in those moments? Because we know on the other side, Aaron Rodgers can. Unfortunately, we was on the receiving end of that in week 3. We had came all the way back and had the opportunity to win the game, but in those situations where he needed to make the plays, he made the plays, and then they won. So that's why I'm saying, in these situations, going and for this game, it's going to me, it's situational football is just as important as everything else.
Well, I'm kind of looking at the stats from the first game. Garoppolo 25 for 40, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. For the thing that jumps out to me off the bat, Brandon Ayuk, 1 attempt, 8 yards,
1 target.
Yeah, must be one target.
Yeah, 1 target. Yeah, 1 reception, 8 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Well, but the thing that stands out to me is you said Jimmy 40 attempts. That's too many attempts for him.
Matter of fact, for the game, he had 4 receptions for 37 yards. Totally different player right now, and how they use him in the offense. I think that'll bode well for us. And like you say, Jimmy throwing it 40 times, definitely not ideal.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When you first read the stat, 25 for 40 for 250 some yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, that means they was already behind, which they were, which means they had to abandon the running game. They couldn't just consistently try to pound it and get the attempts. Because for me and for most 49er fans, we ain't just looking at the rushing yards, we're looking at the attempts. Shanahan wants as many running attempts as possible. So if you throwing it 40 times, then I don't know how many attempts they had in the game, but they didn't have the balance that he liked. So, like I said, in this game, Jimmy can't throw it 40 times. I said the max is 30 to 35. If you're throwing it 40 times, that means unfortunately you might be behind.
And when I'm looking at Green Bay stats, Rodgers 23 for 33, 261, 2 touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 113. Aaron Jones kind of gassed his 19 attempts, 82 yards and a touchdown. And then Davante Adams, 12 receptions, 132 yards and a touchdown. Don't look like too many of the other receivers killed us. Valdez-Scantling, 3 receptions, 59 yards. Like I was telling my partner, got speed. He a big guy, but he's not elite. Not taking nothing from him because he's coming on, but not an elite receiver. So I kind of feel like you were saying, I think the other day, maybe some bracket coverage on Davante Adams at times, switch it up. Don't just let him pick on E-Man or whoever, just one-on-one. Kind of help him out, either inside or over the top or something, but just can't let him beat you.
Yeah, well, look at you. What you said. Aaron Rodgers, 23 or 33, but half of those completions went to one guy. And I did say it on Monday when I was on with the Always Faithful 24/7 crew. You're gonna have to mirror your coverages, bracket coverage, double coverage, over the top. You can't let him beat you. Let the Valdez-Scantlings and the other receivers that they have beat you. Now they beat you, then okay, you deserve to lose. But you can't let Davante Adams beat you by itself. And then, okay, Aaron Jones, you hit us 19 carries for the 80 yards. But our run defense wasn't nearly as good as it is now, since we didn't put Eric Armstead inside to go along with DJ Jones.
We got 9 and 8 popping in too, bro.
All right.
Go ahead and let him in now. Going on with your 9 and 8.
How are you guys doing?
All right, doing good, man. Good to have you on.
Does it sound okay, or should I get AirPods or put headphones on?
You're sounding all right now, bro.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm not feeding back to you guys.
Nah, you.
All right, cool.
Oh, you good,
bro. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh man,
good, man. Good.
I'm getting really excited about this Green Bay game. I really think that this is a huge opportunity for this football team, and just a huge opportunity for them to do something that I think that after 2019 we thought was going to happen last year. I think it might actually happen this year.
I know that's right.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think, like I was just saying, it being good before you came on. To me in this game, it's the situational football that's got to be key. I was telling him, that if it's 3rd and 5, do we convert? Or if it's 3rd and long and we have them in those situations, can we get off the field? It's going to be the situational football as much as it's going to be the scheme and the players that is going to determine the outcome of the game. So what do you think about that?
So the biggest thing for me is the fact that, we're looking at a quarterback who's thrown 4 interceptions in a 17-game season. That's number one. And that's going to kind of change the way that you approach this, because Jimmy's going to turn the ball over. It happens once every game. We're just kind of used to it at this point. You have to minimize the turnovers. I think that's most important is if they turn the ball over, it has to be 3, not 6. That's the number one thing, I think. The second thing is when we played them earlier this season, they were able to make us look stupid by stopping the run. And so what they did is they took 2 safeties and they sat them about 10 yards, 5 yards generally off of the line of scrimmage. And they said, all right, Jimmy, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us by throwing the ball. You're not going to beat us by running the ball. And so San Francisco kind of saw that happening over and over again. The Eagles did it. But Green Bay maximized it so much to where San Francisco decided to change their philosophy. Thus why they started running Deebo Samuel as not only as a wide receiver, but also as a running back. Okay. And what that did is that allowed them to basically keep teams honest, because the threat of Deebo Samuel running the ball made it so teams were generally, because if you don't know if he's going to run the ball or he's going to catch the ball. And so basically it kind of made teams play more honest. I suspect Green Bay is going to probably take the Niners a lot more serious this time. And, while Jimmy Garoppolo isn't necessarily the best quarterback, he has made some decent throws that have kept defenses honest. But the number one thing is really just running the football with Elijah Mitchell and running the football with Deebo Samuel and finding ways to get in, like you said, those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s, because the 49ers have shown with the playmakers they have and the talent they have on this roster, they can generally beat most teams in those situations.
Gotcha. And I know you're talking about the running game with Elijah Mitchell. What do you think about sprinkling in Jeff Wilson a little bit? I know he hasn't been getting a lot of carries as of late, but I would think that you would want to kind of spell Elijah Mitchell and Deebo a little bit if you could.
I think your number one thing is just is whatever works, stick to it. And that's the kind of thing we noticed when the Niners played Green Bay in 2019 in the NFC Championship. They noticed the Raheem Mostert thing was working and they stuck to it. The thing is, the 49ers are never going to abandon the run game. That's just not who they are. Kyle Shanahan will literally bash his head against a wall for a whole quarter to try and make it work later on in the second half. And so if it's not working with Raheem Mostert, he might try Jeff Wilson. Elijah Mitchell, he might try Jeff Wilson. But I really think that the Deebo Samuel factor is something that Green Bay doesn't even comprehend how big it is. I think Dallas didn't think that it was going to beat him. And for the most part, Deebo Samuel, I think he only had that 1 10-yard run on the first touchdown, and they kind of like slowed it down a little bit. But then here it comes. We're in the fourth quarter, and what happens? Deebo Samuel breaks a big 26, 30 yard, something like that, touchdown run. Because the thing is, Kyle Shanahan, the way that these game plans are set up, they're set up to start a specific place and make you think a specific thing, and then Kyle switches it up on you and does something else. Kyle's constantly setting things up to screw you later on. And that's kind of why the 49ers don't generally blow teams out in the way that a traditional blowout happens. So like with Buffalo and New England last week, because San Francisco is generally trying to just get a lead, run the ball, run the clock, and get out. They're not a team that's really trying to embarrass guys. They're trying to just get the W, get healthy, and get out. And that's kind of the thing with Deebo Samuel is it allows them to do that. You saw, third down, what does Kyle do? Goes to Deebo. And that was a first down in that Dallas game. I don't care what anybody says. That was first down.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, no, I agree with you.
It's just a lot of things like that. I think that while you're playing Aaron Rodgers and he's going to find ways to, make that pass that's just unguardable. There's so many throws Aaron Rodgers makes that just not the best corner in the world can't stop it.
True.
That stuff's going to happen, but you can't kick yourself in, you can't shoot yourself in the foot, basically. You have to play sound defense. And the one thing that the Green Bay Packer fans also aren't talking about is the fact that Emmanuel Mosley's back. Emmanuel Mosley during the regular season, yes, he didn't play all 17 games. I think he allowed something like 26 yards total. And that's a huge thing. Ambry Thomas is playing better. I think our secondary and Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward are playing top-tier football. I really think this is a close matchup, and I think that the Niners have a good advantage because while Green Bay has changed a lot too, the 49ers have changed their whole offensive philosophy since the last time these teams saw each other.
True that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. As far as the defense goes, I was saying on Monday when I was on the podcast with the Always Faithful 24/7 guys that they got to try to take Davante Adams away. Double cover him, bracket coverage, mirror coverage. Let the other receivers, beat you, not just him, because we were just running the stats before you came on. In the first game, he had the 12 receptions for the 120-some yards and the touchdown. So he had half of the completions that Rodgers had in the game. So to me, you got to try to take him away and make Aaron go to the other receivers. But at the same time, we can't sleep on the running game because Aaron Jones and the big running back they have, Dylan, can hurt you too. So what do you think about the running game? How do we stop the running game in this game too?
So one stat, I'm not a big stat guy. I try not to be, at least. With stuff, I try to just kind of like base it on what you watch. But here's a stat that's really interesting. Since the 49ers put Arik Armstead on the interior of the defensive line, the San Francisco 49ers are not only the best at stopping the run, they're the best. They're in the division or anything like that. They're the best in the NFL. They're literally the best team at stopping the run in the NFL since Arik Armstead was moved to the interior. The biggest thing for me, obviously, is Davante Adams, as you mentioned. And because they're going against what is arguably the best wide receiver in all the NFL, he's going to get his, right?
Right.
But what San Francisco does that's different is they don't generally do the double team thing. They're going to generally see it's hard to describe. They're not going to double team him. They're going to just try and see what matchups they get, and they're going to try and defend him the best they can, and they're going to use the safety to help in those coverages. Because of the fact that they run that cover 3 that's so reliant on safety play, I think that while Davante Adams is really good, Lazard and Marquez Scantling are good football players because of Aaron Rodgers. They're not like top tier wide receivers like I think Deebo Samuel and Ayuk are in this case. But when you have the best wide receiver in the league, that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen. Other guys are going to catch the ball because he is being taken care of by your best player. But the run game is actually the one thing with the Packers I'm not afraid of, because the 49ers have shown time and time again that they don't get run on. It just doesn't happen anymore. Ever since Arik Armstead was on the middle, they don't run. And when you can't run the football, it kind of limits the way your offense works. And while I think, it's different, you're playing with Aaron Rodgers, who is, the best thrower of the football in the league, bar none. Every quarterback, if they can't run the ball, is going to struggle.
No, I agree with you. I definitely agree that the secondary is much improved. I think Ambry Thomas, I think he'll be able to handle Valdez Scantling or Lazard pretty much. I would kind of worry about Tonyan a little bit at the tight end. I know the tight end.
I think Tanyan's hurt. I think he's out for the season.
Out for the year, yeah. So he's not going to be in there. I don't know
what
they're
not real strong at tight end at all.
Yeah, because I like him. Other than that, cool. All right.
Yeah, I know he was out.
The thing about them is it's all Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing with this game is if you can make Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable, that's your huge advantage. Because I understand this is talking about last year, but when Aaron Rodgers is being pressured, so not blitzed, but pressured, meaning everyone is just closing this gap on him, he tends to, I'm not saying he's soft and he tends to take his ball and leave. It's more that he plays worse. He's still the best, quarterback in the league, but he plays at a worse level where you can, he does turn the ball over, whether that's a fumble or an interception, and that's where some of those interceptions come from. Tampa Bay, for instance, who it could potentially be a matchup next week if we win this game, has shown ways to just get in there and just make him uncomfortable. The Browns earlier this season, despite the fact their quarterback is just awful and they turned the ball over 3 times, kept that game close because they made Aaron Rodgers. They found ways to pressure Aaron Rodgers with Myles Garrett, and they found ways to pressure Aaron Rodgers with Jadeveon Clowney. And what they did is they just made him uncomfortable. And when he was uncomfortable, he doesn't make, as many just astounding throws.
Well, definitely trying to get rid of that ball. I mean, my motto always is, if you show me an elite quarterback, show me how elite he is under pressure. So exactly. I definitely agree.
And the strategy they used week 3 was interesting because what they did is they just got the ball out quickly every single time. And so what's going to happen that's different this time is because I think the 49ers are much better than they were week 3 with Arden Key, starting to really show up. I think Samson Ebukam has continued to show that he's better every single week. These guys that they brought in to bolster what was already, the Nick Bosas, the Eric Armstead, the DJ Jones, the guys they brought to bolster around that they can switch in. I mean, Charles Omenihu had the game of his life. They traded a 6th-round pick for this guy at the trade deadline. No one even heard of him. And he had the game of his life against Dak Prescott, who a lot of people believe is one of the best quarterbacks in the league as well. Top 5, maybe top 7, 8, whatever. And I understand Rodgers is a different stratosphere, but these guys have shown that they're able to get pressure on whoever you put in front of them. And I really believe that Green Bay is good, but they're not as good as the Dallas Cowboys offensive line.
Agreed. I agree with you there.
Yeah, I was going to say, the key to the game, of course, is going to be, can we get this consistent pressure on him? And we definitely have the defensive line, and, we should have Nick back out there, coming off concussion protocol to just bolster what's already there. So I always, my philosophy is, let's stop the run. Let's not make it easy for them, because if any team, have success running the ball, it makes it harder for you to rush the passer when you having to stop the run. So if we can make them one-dimensional, which it is Aaron Rodgers, if we can consistently get that pressure, which we did in 19 when we beat them to go to the Super Bowl and the last few times, then we should be good, as far as that goes. So I'm with you on that. I think the defensive line is just coming with the waves of defensive linemen, like they did against the Cowboys. They'll be successful as far as getting their pressure. I know Bakhtiari is supposed to be coming back healthy and at the left tackle. So, that'll be to their advantage to have him in there. But I think, I don't know about the rest of the offensive line or who the right tackle is, but I'm figuring they'll line up Nick on that right side against the right tackle and let him go one-on-one, and that'll be an advantage. And then, like I said, when you get in that push inside with DJ and with Eric and collapsing that pocket, he either going to have to do one or two things: get rid of it quick, try to escape and throw on a run. And we just got to be on their receivers. If we be on their receivers, they should be fine. So let me ask you this: since you already, you living out there, what's the pulse? What's the excitement level for this game out there in the Bay Area?
I mean, so I work in Fremont, and I live an hour away from Fremont. But for the most part, I think 49 fans are ecstatic. The fact that this football team has now been given the opportunity, and obviously it hasn't happened yet. This would be a 5th NFC championship in 10 years. And,
wow.
What's funny is, I'm 31 years old. And I remember when I was, in my 20s, right when this first started, the 10 years before that weren't good. Singletary was not a good head coach. We all kind of knew it. We knew the football team wasn't good. Alex Smith was continuously put into horrible situations, despite the fact that, he's a serviceable level quarterback. There's nothing wrong with Alex Smith. But the team continued to put him in bad situations. Jim Harbaugh comes in, and they win all these games, and they go to the Super Bowl, and they go to 3 NFC championships, and they fire him. And you go back to the doldrums, and you're okay, how long is the doldrums going to last? Well, Tom Sula was just the worst hire ever. He's not a head coach. We all knew that. Chip Kelly was exciting because, okay, this is a different type of offensive scheme. Well, he wasn't given anything. The roster was terrible. So therefore, Kaepernick had nothing to work with, which wasn't fair to him, which wasn't fair to the Niner fans. And so then the 49ers finally realized, okay, well, we haven't drafted well in what? I don't know. It's been probably 6-7 years since we drafted good football players. So they fire everybody. No more Trent Baalke, who it's funny that he's the Jaguars GM and they hate him there too because he's a terrible GM. He's the worst GM in the league. And they bring in Kyle Shanahan. And so Kyle Shanahan takes over this team, brings Brian Hoyer in at quarterback. We kind of know what we're dealing with, right? We know this is going to be a losing season. And so we kind of just watch the season as it progresses. And you start to notice things when you watch Kyle Shanahan's playbook. You start to notice that, hey, this offense, despite the fact that the talent isn't there, they're moving the ball. It's kind of like what the Lions are experiencing right now with Dan Campbell. Yeah. They started to notice over the course of the season, there's things happening here. There's things that are exciting. Our roster just isn't there. Well, then year 2 happens, and the 49ers lose Jimmy Garoppolo, the starting quarterback. 3 games in the season was over, right? But you started to notice things if you continued to watch the games, despite the fact that the quarterback play was subpar, that Kyle Shanahan's playbook and Kyle Shanahan's draft philosophy was starting to work. Guys like George Kittle are hitting. These guys are starting to hit. And yes, there's the occasional miss, but there's guys in the 5th round, the 6th round. These guys are playing football games and playing meaningful games and looking decent. Then you get to the following year, and you have the 2nd overall pick. You knew the Cardinals were taking Kyler Murray because they didn't like Josh Rosen, and you take Nick Bosa, right? We all knew, anyone with a brain knew Nick Bosa was going to be a star.
Yeah.
Then not only that, in the 2nd round, you also take Deebo Samuel. And I think a lot of people didn't know a lot about Deebo Samuel because I don't know a lot of people out here who watch South Carolina football. Right. But that season, you started to notice things about Deebo Samuel, like, okay, this dude's built different. No wide receiver in the NFL looks like this. This guy looks like a running back. And so last year, you have this COVID year where things don't go right and everything goes to crap because you're constantly injured. But here we are back to a normal season, normal players. Everyone's still the same drafts. People have drafted the same team over and over. The same guys have drafted the players. And now you're looking at a roster that's one of the best rosters in the NFL. And so in 5 years, not only have you gone to 1 Super Bowl and won an NFC championship, but you've also drafted one of the best rosters in the NFL, and you're on the verge of another NFC championship. So any Niner fan who is sad about what's going on with the 49ers or thinks Kyle Shanahan hasn't done a good job is just crazy. Because name another guy who's coming into any organization and able to do what Kyle Shanahan has done, and I just don't see it. There's no one. What he's done is amazing. Everyone wants to hire their own Kyle Shanahan. You've got Mike McDaniels being hired for looked at for a head coaching job when Kyle brought him in as offensive coordinator right at the start. I mean, we've constantly lost our coordinators because everyone wants their own Kyle Shanahan. We have our own Kyle Shanahan. If you fired Kyle, he'd be hired right away by someone else. And so whether we win or lose on Saturday, the 49ers have the one thing that no one in this league has, and that's the man, the myth, the legend that is Kyle Shanahan, what he does on a field. I lived in Seattle for a long time, and I had a lot of Seahawks fans who were like, I wish our offense looked like that. And they have Russell Wilson. And they're telling me they like our offense. That's wild to me because our quarterback is the least mobile person on the planet, except for Tom Brady maybe. But they're jealous of our run game because when you watch the 49ers run game in an all-22, there's guys always in motion. And when you're looking at it as a linebacker on the other team or a safety, you have no idea where the ball is going. And it's impressive. And I've just, there's been times this season where I've been like, I don't know what Kyle's doing. I don't know why Trey isn't playing. This is ridiculous. Kyle stuck with his plan. And here we are, a game off the NFC Championship, 2 games off of the Super Bowl. And I mean, if anyone's complaining, they're crazy because the Browns would die for this. The Browns would die to have 5 NFC championships in 10 years. That's insane. The Seahawks don't even have that. The Seahawks went to 2 Super Bowls, and then they continuously got eliminated in the first round over and over and over and over and over again, except for 1 or 2 years. Yes, they've made the playoffs, but you can make the playoffs and be a 6 seed or a 7 seed. If you're not the 1 or 2 or 3 seed, generally you're not going to the Super Bowl. This team is so good, they could go in anywhere and beat them. I don't care about the cold in Lambeau. I think that they're that damn good. They're that well coached, and the roster is that good. They can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. And that's something that not a lot of football teams can do. The New York Giants that beat us one of the years we went to the NFC Championship were one of those teams. I think they were a 6 seed. The 49ers have that kind of mentality and attitude where they can do that.
Nah, I'm with
Yeah, I would agree with you. I've been saying that, that they built to go into Lambeau and with the physicality and the run game and the defense and beat them. And so I agree with you. And that was one of the exciting things when we knew that Kyle was coming in, because we had seen the offense in Atlanta when he went to the Super Bowl, when he was the offensive coordinator, and even in Houston when he had the talent that they had there with Andre Johnson and the running back and Schaub at the quarterback. So we trust me, I didn't live through the Tom Sulas and all of that. So trust me, I know how bad it was. So just knowing that we do have them, and that you see the Mike McDaniels and you see the Miko coming, already, this first year coordinators, and they might be head coaches. So, we know he can coach, So,
every
like I
team
said,
wants their own Kyle Shanahan, and that's a
Kyle,
statement on its own.
Yeah, Kyle is, we know Kyle is one of the best offensive minds in all of football. And now he's starting to really get the credit for the head coach. I think the knock on him has been, out of the 5 years he's been there, it's really been injuries more than anything. Well, the first year they didn't have the talent, so we know they wasn't gonna make the playoffs. But then the other years, it's been injuries really holding the team back from making the playoffs. He probably I would say he probably should have made it 3 out of 5 years, to the playoffs. Last year if they wouldn't have had the injuries, they would have made the playoffs.
Absolutely, yeah. No, they were still only a couple games out of the playoffs, despite the fact they were one of the most injured teams in the history of sports, not football, but sports. That's so insane.
A lot of it's been the injuries. I agree with you with the draft, and and I've said it, man, that really from the 3rd round to the 7th and the undrafted free agents, that's where they really have built the team. Absolutely. They've hit more on the later round picks like DJ Jones and Kittle and Jennings and Mitchell and these late round picks have become the stars of your team and the foundation of your team. So I was telling Ben Good on one of our shows last week, I said, man, you could trade all of your 1st round picks. You don't need them. The third round back, that's where y'all excel in drafting players. So,
Absolutely. I think that they excel in drafting players almost anywhere, because with the draft, it's a crapshoot, right? Like, you never know what you're going to get. The guy could look amazing in the college system he's in Alabama, come to the NFL and do nothing, right? The thing is they found ways to hit 3 and 4 players on every draft, and they almost always hit the undrafted guys. I mean, think about this real quick. So not only did they traded DeForest Buckner away and got Kinlaw. And I understand the Kinlaw thing is not a great subject, but they got Ayuk, and Ayuk's one of the best wide receivers the 49ers have had in forever. Okay, then they in the 7th round they got Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is a 7th round pick. Remember that, because he badmouthed about Tennessee when he was there, and this guy is now your wide receiver 3. So now going into next season, not only, so yes, you don't have 1st round picks, whatever, right? Not only do you have your rookie's quarterback for the next 4 years, you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. You have a wide receiver 1 who you're going to pay, because Deebo Samuel might be in a different league where we can actually have wide receivers win MVP. Deebo Samuel might be the MVP because he's been that good. So you have wide receiver 1, Deebo Samuel, wide receiver 2, Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 3, Juwan Jennings. You have this offensive line that's just pure talent. I mean, and that's just the offense. You have George Kittle, probably the best tight end in the NFL, up there. It's him, Kelsey, and Mark Andrews. It's just, there's a wealth of talent on this football team. And that's not even talking about the running backs and the fact that Kyle Shanahan can make any running back look like a god because of the way that he sets it up for these guys. It's really astounding. And people should not take this for granted. There's no reason to take this for granted. You have to enjoy every moment of this, because you never know when it goes away.
Well, personally, I definitely agree that this is the best wide receiving core that they've had in a long while. I'm a big fan of Brandon Ayuk. Love Deebo, but I'm a big fan of Ayuk. I think he's really going to blossom in years to come. We definitely been second guessing Kyle all year, from who he's been playing to the inconsistency in the run game early, play call and so forth and so on. But I mean, second half of the season, dynamite, everything been clicking. I definitely think we can beat the Packers. I just feel we the more physical team. I know they got all like the talent of the quarterback, to me, the glitz and glamour, they kind of flashy. But at the end of the day, once we hit them real hard, and I know the outcome not going to necessarily go as it's gone before, but to me, bro, I just think we the more physical team. If we could turn them over once or twice, because like you said, when you first came on, Jimmy going to turn it over. If we could turn him over too, or come out even or ahead in the turnovers, I love our chances, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is if they can find a way to turn Rodgers over at least once, anything's possible. And I think that the physicality of not only the defense, but also the offense. I mean, nobody wants to tackle Deebo Samuel. That looks miserable. I don't want to do that. Jalen Ramsey didn't want to do that. He led with his shoulder. He's a corner who tackles for a living, and he led with his shoulder because he doesn't want to tackle the guy. I mean, Deebo Samuel is an enigma. If there hasn't been a team that's figured Deebo Samuel out all season, and I understand that the reason the 49ers have lost games has been because of the quarterback. If the quarterback can be held to less than 2 turnovers, I don't think they're going to be able to stop Deebo. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Elijah Mitchell. And I think that the number one thing is Kyle Shanahan getting in that bag that we know he can get in and just take care of these guys and really just make the easiest game plan for them to find a way to win in that cold. Because that's the biggest factor is the cold, because it's not Green Bay. It's the cold and it's Aaron Rodgers. There's no one on this team that scares me except for Aaron Rodgers. I'm not afraid of Aaron Jones. I'm not afraid of A.J. Dillon. I'm not afraid of their offensive line. I'm not afraid of their pass rushers. I'm not afraid of their corners. You have Jair Alexander coming back for the first time all season.
Right.
And yes, he's a great corner, but he hasn't been there all year.
Yeah,
You're going to tell me this guy's coming back his first game and he's just going to take care of us when we've really – I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
I'm with you.
Well, no, I agree with what both of y'all are saying. Like I said, I think, well, for me, I was looking at it from the standpoint of, Green Bay's offense. You can't, kick field goals. You got to try to score a touchdown. And so if they were to be ahead and we putting the ball in Jimmy's hands, everybody, in the Nation world is like, oh Lord, we know.
Yeah.
There's a chance he could, turn the ball over. So to me, the key is, let's establish the running game. To me, I think they got to get George Kittle off. He only had the 1 reception against the Cowboys. I think they got to try to get him off earlier to get him rolling. I think so that that'll give Jimmy confidence if they can get him the ball early. Like Ben Good always say, the Jimmy gimmies. The easy passes, the passes that kind of build his confidence. I think if they can get the ball to George early, then that's going to bode well for the passing game. I know they're going to run Deebo as a running back. To me, I think they need to use him, as a receiver too. Use Kyle Juszczyk, as a receiver. He plays up, a lot of different positions, H-back, fullback. He can, line up out wide, get the ball to Elijah Mitchell. But I think, if it's going to be, at 0 degrees or below, like they're saying, this, to me, should be the game. They should give Jeff Wilson at least maybe 5 to 10 carries just to let Elijah get a little rest. I know Kyle going to go with the hot hand, and Elijah had been having a hot hand all year, even in a, game against the Cowboys. But, to me, Jeff Wilson, got fresh legs, he a physical runner. This the game where you might want to just kind of sprinkle him in. And then, I love Jauan Jennings. That's my dog. He out there knocking boys around. You saw how he did Trayvon Diggs last week. Caught him slipping on that one run play. Just totally just knocked him down. So, like I said, man, offensively, I think we can score points. The key is just, how aggressive is Kyle going to be in certain situations, based off the floor of the game. I think if they can come out like they did against Dallas, that first drive, and go right down the field and score, because to me, you gotta put it on Green Bay mind and get it in their head that this ain't gonna be no cupcake, easy walk game for you. Y'all might have been on a bye and you might be healthy and bringing all your players back, but we've been battle tested and we didn't have to play playoff games for the last 5, 6, 7 games. And my motto for the team is still guts. These boys hard. You ain't nothing soft about about the Niners. So I think if they can come out in that first possession, if they get it first to start the game, come out, if they can come out and do like they did against Dallas and get a touchdown, and that's gonna set the tone right then and there. Let Green Bay know this is gonna be a full quarter slugfest. And if you can't match the physicality, we'll walk out of Lambeau with a victory. So that's just my take on it. I think we can win the game. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be an exciting game. Because you got Aaron Rodgers on the other side. So to me, like I was saying last week, they kind of got a little sloppy in the second half against the Cowboys. Y'all got to raise y'all level because you are playing against Aaron Rodgers. You playing them in Lambeau, but they're capable of raising their level of play to the point to where they can play their best game, because really they haven't played their best game yet. And this is the game where they're going to have to play their best game if they're going to get this victory.
Yeah, I mean, come out and if you have the ball first, find a way to get down that field, put points on the board right away. That's the number one thing, and I think that's the thing that they've done well, or they did well against Dallas. They came out, immediately scored, showed them they're better than them, and took care of them. I mean, it was 10-0 before you blinked your eye. And so if you can do that and you can get a 3-and-out to start that game, that's going to make Green Bay have to think, and that's going to make Rodgers, he's going to have to make one of those, more likely to make one of those bonehead throws than if it was, okay, we're just letting them drive down the field and it's going to be score. Because if it's score, you're going to lose. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to have the ball. We saw it. You saw it week 3. If it's score, like it was in that second half of that game, and Rodgers has the ball and there's 16 seconds or even 5 seconds on the clock, Rodgers is going to find a way to beat you. I mean, that's my money's on Rodgers because he is the best thrower of the football in the NFL. And so the number one thing has to be long drives, ball possession, finding ways to get the run game going, and finding ways to make Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable. That's how you win this game. And it doesn't matter the elements, any of that. It's finding ways to make Rodgers uncomfortable. If you can do that, and you can be Kyle Shanahan and just score willingly like you should be able to, they can really, I mean, this game is, in my opinion, the NFC Championship, because if it's the Rams again, we're going to kick their ass because we always do. And then Tampa Bay is not Tampa Bay. Yes, they beat an Eagles team that stinks, but Tampa Bay is super injured on defense, and they're not Tampa Bay. Brady's been great, but Brady doesn't have the guys to target. Godwin's gone. Antonio Brown's gone. Mike Evans is a great wide receiver, but if you beat Devontae Adams, I'm not afraid of Mike Evans. And so this is the NFC Championship, in my opinion. If they win this game, I think they're going to the Super Bowl. Whoever wins this game, I think, is going to the Super Bowl. And if I had to pick a team to play, I want Kansas City. I want Mahomes again. That's who I want. And I want Mahomes to come to LA and have to come to LA when it's all 49er fans. And we'll see what happens that night.
Hey, bro, totally agree with you on the making Rodgers uncomfortable. To me, that's really the key to everything. Like you said, if it's going score for score, that means he back there just slinging it how he wants to. He in a good rhythm, and he's not really worried. And like you say, if that's what's going on, we definitely gonna lose. Like any unsung heroes y'all see, I mean, you could tell me, who you think gonna ball out, but do anybody who might be off the radar, who you think might have a good game or be, a major contributor to the win?
I think it's Charles Omenihu, to be honest with you. I think that they've proven, and I think it's Arden Key as well. Like, I think that they've proven that the system they have now, whatever it is, versus what was going on earlier in the season, they found their pass rush. And it's these guys who have high motors, and Arden Key is playing for something. Arden Key's playing for next season right now. Arden Key's playing for that contract he's going to get, because if Arden Key makes a crucial sack on Aaron Rodgers, the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills, one of these teams is going to come calling, and they're going to give him all the money in the world, and we won't be able to afford him. And that sucks. But at the same time, that he's playing for that contract. Charles Omenihu, that guy is just balling. I mean, he was a nobody. They got him for a 6th-round pick, and it seems like he's happy here. I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview today. He said, what's the difference between San Francisco and Houston? And he said, it's not a circus. And that tells me, this is a guy who wants to stay here. This is a guy who wants to play here. And I think he has another year on his contract. And so him balling out in this game is a great factor for him going into next season, where people are like, okay, well, they have Charles Omenihu. They don't need the D Ford back. They can cut him, things like that. And so those are the guys I really think that could be the unsung heroes, the guys who aren't starters but are the backup pass rushers who are going to get pressure on these dudes.
Gotcha.
I would say I was thinking about the linebacking core, having all three back, Fred, Ashair, and Dre Greenlaw, because they can neutralize the running game. And then they also good covering and playing in that, that zone, and being in the area, in the zone. So I was thinking about the linebackers, and also being able to blitz, at times if D'Amico decide he gonna bring pressure to, depending on what the situation and how the flow of the game goes. Because we saw it in a Cowboy game that, when he needed to bring that pressure, he brought it. Now for the most part, we can rush with our four and keep coming in waves with our defensive linemen and keeping them fresh, so that we can keep that constant pressure. But we know that D'Amico, if the situation called for it, he'll go ahead and bring up the blitz too. So let me ask you this: what do you think about them as far as having a bringing pressure in certain situations, depending on how the flow of the game goes?
They're not gonna blitz. They don't blitz that often. I don't think that you blitz against Aaron Rodgers. That's not where you see success. I think that what they're gonna do is they're gonna send their usual four, and they're gonna continue to see success with the way they did it in Dallas. And I think that they're gonna continue to put Azeez and Fred in coverage, and that's where they succeed. That's where those guys have succeeded ever since that became the linebacking core. And I think that Greenlaw has shown that his tackling ability is where his strength is. His strength is not coverage. And I think everybody who watches Dre Greenlaw knows his strength is not coverage, but he's a great tackler and he gets to the ball. He has a high motor. He's a decent football player. I don't think he's terrible. I just don't think he's as good as Azeez. And I think that they're going to use him as a pass rusher in some ways, but Fred and Azeez are pros. Azeez has to come back next year because Azeez has shown that he deserves to start on an NFL team. And I think a lot of people never really believed that for the longest time. And, this year was his coming out year. And I think that they're really happy with those guys. They're really happy with that situation because in cover 3, you need to use linebackers in coverage. It's crucial. And cover 3 is so reliant on talent. And I mean, if you look all over the board, there's just talented guys everywhere. You got linebackers who can cover better than almost any linebackers. You got safeties who, while most of the world doesn't know, Jimmy Ward is just the man. And Jaquiski Tartt has shown once again why they should find a way to keep him around if they can, and why the Hufanga pick is good, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to replace Jaquiski Tartt. And so it's just, I think that they have their game plan and they're going to stick to what works. I don't think they'll try anything crazy because I just don't want to blitz Aaron Rodgers because I think if you blitz Aaron Rodgers, he's going to make you pay.
Yeah.
Well, if they do blitz, you better get home. I know that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, no, I think, like I said, given the situation and the circumstance, if they were behind and they had to, blitz to get him off the field in the third in a particular situation, I think he would do it. I agree. They're not going to blitz. He going to, run the full, his full defensive lineman and keep coming in waves, because I think the name of the game is wearing them down in time, throughout the game, offensively and defensively, with our offensive line and defensive line by running the ball and then with the constant pressure. I said it against the Cowboys. I thought we could dominate the offensive line, and we did for the most part. They didn't have nothing against our defensive line. And then as good as their defense is, was as far as creating turnovers, we still was more physical than them. So, I know Green Bay's defense, they have some playmakers at certain positions, but I think if we can, just ground, wear them down offensively and then defensively keep coming at Aaron Rodgers in ways with, all of the defensive linemen that we have, by the fourth quarter, we should start seeing where we can really just take the game over, really be in a position to win the game because we didn't warm down in time, with the depth of the defensive line and then just the way Kyle gonna run with the offensive line. So to me, the key to the game is it's just, Jimmy, we just need you to make the right pass, brother. We just need you to make the right throw at the right time, and if we do that, if he can just make the right plays then we can win the game. So let me ask you this, man. What about what's your thoughts on the special teams?
It's awful. It's awful. It's been awful. But it's funny. I talked to some Green Bay fans earlier in a Twitter space I was doing while I was at work earlier, and their special teams is awful too. And so that kind of helps us out, Hightower has proven, that he's just not good at the special teams thing. I don't know if it's the talent they have on special teams or what it is. But their special teams is just awful. It's been awful all year, and it's not going to improve. They don't have a dominant return man on punt or kickoff return. They're using Ayuk sometimes, which scares the hell out of me because Ayuk is so integral to this passing game. And then they use Travis Benjamin, and I don't trust Travis Benjamin to return punts or kicks. So, and then sometimes he uses Jermichael Hasty, and I don't trust him either. And so it's just we kind of knew what it was before the season when they didn't sign that one dude and he went to the Bears, and that was like, you're like, this was a decent kick returner, punt returner, whatever. But you just have to hope that the special teams doesn't make a stupid mistake that ruins the game for you. If you have to, and obviously I don't think that the kicking situation with the Green Bay Packers is anything to really worry about in that way. The thing is if you have to just take the 25 yards and not catch the ball, just do that, because I don't feel confident running it out with the way these guys have fumbled, especially with the way they fumbled in Seattle is disgusting. And so, we'll see what happens.
That's what I always say. Let's not do anything crazy. Just catch the ball. Basic 101 what you was doing in training camp. Just catch the ball. You know what I'm saying, and don't try to do anything extra. If you can get some yards, fine. If not, like I say, let it go in the end zone and just fair catch it every time. Don't do anything that's gonna cost you, because in the Dallas game, y'all should have been expecting, given the situation of the game and the score of the game, that they might try a fake. Now Dallas had one of the best special teams in the NFL because they got one of the best special team coaches in Faisal. So y'all should have been anticipating that they may try something to get the momentum on their side, which they was able to make that play. Now, ultimately, we either stopped them or held them from getting a touchdown, but that wasn't the point. It was the fact that y'all had stopped them on third down and they come with a fake punt, and then that's just extending the drive for them and putting the defense back out there. So, like you were saying, Green Bay special teams ain't really no better than ours, or maybe worse, so it might be a wash. But in these big games, there's always some kind of fluke play on special teams that can turn over for the game, against you. And that's the thing that kind of scares you too. It's like the two things that I think about is, okay, Jimmy, you making a crucial throw at the wrong time and it get picked off or something. Or it's the special teams doing something, like you said in Seattle, Trenton Cannon, you fumbling the ball, and we had the momentum in the game, was beating them, and then that just flipped it and turned it in their favor. So that's the only thing, that I know I'm gonna be looking at. Okay, especially with the cold, if they're gonna put Benjamin back, I think Kyle trusts Benjamin just off of his record of being in the league for a long time and having success fielding and running some kickoffs and punts back for touchdowns in his career. And I don't think they should put Ayuk out there, because I agree with y'all. He's too valuable offensively, for y'all to have him back there. So
it just don't feel natural, bro. Like all these, we know Benjamin have a history of doing it, but he long in the tooth now. When he catch it, it's like, don't fumble. Ayuk, when you like that, it's not really natural for you. You're probably gonna catch it, but you're really just gonna fair catch it. So why are you really there? So, man, look. Question for you, Nate. Do you know if the Smith brothers are healthy? Preston and Zadarius, do you know if they playing?
I think they actually are.
Okay, because I'm interested to see how that matchup.
I think they are. I think Zadarius isn't like 100%, but I think at the same time it's going to be they're going to use him situationally. Like say it's 3rd and 7 or something, they're going to pass rush Zadarius. Preston is healthy. The guy that really scares me on that defensive line, if we're talking about them, is Kenny Clark. He's proven in that game, the 3rd week of the season, that he can, just get in the interior and tear stuff up.
Yeah.
And so that's the guy who scares me the most with that defensive line. And then also Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary has, proven over the course of his career that he's, been a decent pass rusher, and he's shown that he has the moves to make an impact. The biggest thing for the 49ers is the fact that, they've played so well at offensive line. Trent Williams has been an absolute pros pro. Laken Tomlinson has been a pro. Alex Mack, now that has that real, he works a lot better with these guys than he did at the start of the season, because now he's had a whole season with them. And then, Brunskill, it's been weird because Brunskill ever since then has looked better. And then Tom Compton coming in is, while we were like, oh, Tom Compton sucks, there's no way he's good. Tom Compton's been really good. And then they use George Kittle in blocking. They use Charlie Warner in blocking. The teams generally don't kill the 49ers that way, like they got killed week 3. And I don't think that these guys will be able to do that, but it's up to Jimmy to continue to, step up in the pocket, not just standing like an idiot. And he's done a better job of that, running outside the pocket, throwing the ball there, stepping up when he needs to. He's gotten better at it. I think that, when he first had the injury and he came back in 2019, he wasn't super comfortable doing that. And you saw him do it less and less. And sure, he didn't do it all, even after he came back from the first injury. And so this year you kind of notice a little more. But, I mean, it's still Jimmy. He's still going to do something stupid. And it's up to the offensive line to just be perfect. And, that's how it is. In the NFL, if your offensive line is perfect, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. You could have a grandma playing back there playing quarterback. If you're getting blocked all day, you're going to get the ball off. And that's why you see a lot of these guys come in the league from, when they get drafted and they have terrible offensive lines, they struggle. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo has one of the best offensive lines in the league, and he gets the ball. And as long as he gets the ball out of his hands, he has the best playmakers, and that's been the thing. And so if they can make it so Kenny Clark doesn't tear up that interior, they will be fine. Kenny Clark not tearing up the interior is my number one thing, I think, for that defensive line not to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was thinking about Rashawn Gary, before you even had spoke his name. I know he's a pretty good pass rusher for them. Zadarius Smith have caused us problems, in previous games, but we were always able to neutralize him with a run. But if it's like a third and long, he becomes a little factor. Preston Smith, I think we could deal with him with no problems. And Kenny Clark, like I said, I don't know who else they have on their defensive line outside of him, but yeah, he's a good player. So I would agree with you if they can neutralize him. And I think the main thing is if, when they run that outside zone is getting to the second level, so if they can get him handled and get on the linebackers, then, I think Elijah should have plenty of running lanes to pick and choose, how he want to attack once he gets to the second level. Because I don't really know how good the linebackers are outside of, the Smith brothers. They're not really, they more pass rushers than, edge setters to me. That's why I think we've had success against them, because they more of the pass rushing type linebackers as opposed to being able to do both, being able to set the edge in the run game and then, also being able to pass rush in those third and long situations or pass rushing situations.
And Kyle Shanahan has proven time and time again that unless your linebacker is the best linebacker in the NFL, he's going to give him a hard time. I think the number one thing for the 49er fans to watch in this game is going to be when the first time the 49ers are on offense, where are the safeties? Watch where the safeties are. If the safeties are 10 yards off of the ball, they're doing the same exact thing they did week 3. And I think Kyle Shanahan is prepared for that. And I think that the 49ers will make them look stupid. But if it's something different and they're trying something a little different, we'll see how that goes. But it's up to Kyle Shanahan to make that team honest. Because if we're being honest here, putting 2 safeties 10 yards off the ball is disrespectful. And the only people who disrespect our quarterback are us. We are the only ones allowed to disrespect Jimmy Garoppolo. Not the Green Bay Packers, not the Dallas Cowboys. The 49er fans are the only people who are allowed to disrespect Jimmy Garoppolo. So when someone does that to your quarterback, that's disrespectful. And I hope Kyle Shanahan finds a way to make them look stupid if they do it again.
I know that's right, Nate. Well said, bro. Oh man. Hey, bro. Y'all got any like closing comments or anything? And let them know where to find you at too, Nate.
Oh, of course. I mean, the biggest thing for this, I want people to really appreciate what this team has been able to do. We were at one point 3-5, I think. And the fact that we are now sitting with one game away from the NFC Championship game and 2 games away from the Super Bowl is miraculous. And I just don't want people to take that for granted. I want people to enjoy every minute of the game. If they lose, don't think it's a not successful season. I think it's absolutely a successful season. The fact that they stuck with their laurels and maybe in a way where a lot of us thought they were crazy playing Jimmy Garoppolo, but because they played Jimmy and they signed these guys back to 1-year contracts, they went to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. That's huge. You know, when was the last time the Lions won a playoff game? You know, when was the last time the Giants won a playoff game? Like, a lot of these organizations have won playoff games in years, and the 49ers won a playoff game this year, and they have the rookie quarterback in waiting. So it's just so exciting to be a 49er fan, and I think it's just going to get better, man. Even if they lose on Saturday, it's going to get better because Russell's gone. Russell's not coming back. He's not going to be a Seahawk anymore. Stafford is on his way out. You know, he's not a young guy. They don't have a young quarterback on the Rams. Kyler Murray is going to have Cliff Kingsbury for another year, and that's automatically bad for them. They're not going to be a contender. Aaron Rodgers is leaving, and Tom Brady probably has one more year left. The NFC is setting itself up for it to be the Trey Lance San Francisco 49ers division, and that's the most exciting thing I can tell you. That's easily the most exciting thing. And so no matter what happens on Saturday, don't be sad. Appreciate the fact that we got this far because not a lot of teams did. You were a top 4 team in the NFC, a top 8 team in the whole entire NFL when there's 32 teams. That's impressive. And the fact that this team is just going to continue to get better, despite the fact they have a lot of free agencies, as I said earlier, they've shown they know how to draft. They've shown they know how to fill roster spots, and they've proven that time and time again. And as for where they can find me, I'm at Twitter at NinerNate49. You can check me out there. I tweet a bunch of random stuff about the 49ers. It's always pro Kyle Shanahan stuff. So none of that negative Nancy stuff on Kyle Shanahan. On Jimmy Garoppolo is a different story. And then I also have a podcast every single week. It's called Niner Nate's Nonsense. I just had my newest episode go up this morning with a big preview of the Green Bay Packers. A lot of stuff we actually talked about on here. So maybe if you want to listen to that, listen to it again or listen to a different another take on it, you can. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. It's been a ton of fun to talk, talk ball. It's always fun just to talk about your favorite football team because, football season is only, 4 or 5 months and then it's gone again. And we wait for it to come all the way back. So I want to talk about it as much as possible always.
We appreciate you coming on, bro. Love your energy. Like, infectious energy, bro.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, I try to bring as much energy as possible because this is my favorite football team, my favorite sport, everything. And so I'm always trying to be as positive as possible, but also, can't be sad. You're a 49er fan. You're not a Detroit Lions fan. You're not a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. There's no reason to be sad. You're in the playoffs. Come on, man. Hype train never stops.
What you got for me, P Warrior, before we get out of here?
Well, no, man. Appreciate you, Nate, for coming on, man, and chopping it up with us. Like I said, I think they're gonna win the game. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be an exciting game. But I think these boys on a mission. They're hungry. Like I said, we started off 2-0, went 3-5. We didn't have to deal with the whole Trey versus Jimmy deal with the injuries. The Tennessee game, which everybody was mad because Jimmy, you threw all the picks and we had them and we could have beat them. And then we came back against the Ram being down 17 in the first half. And then, we came out against the Cowboys and we won that game. And, we was a little sloppy in the second half. And, a lot of people like, well, they held on. But no, man, like I said, these boys got steel guts. They got what it takes to get this done. So I've been saying it since they got in. If there was one team that nobody wanted to see in the playoffs, it was us. And now we here. So Green Bay, y'all haven't lost a home game all year. Y'all been rolling at home. Well, the team we didn't want to see is coming in there on a mission. They're hungry. Like I said, the key for me is Jimmy. Come on, Jimmy. We just need you to make the plays, dog. Just make the right play. Just make the right pass, and we'll be fine because we got everything else we need out there. So, like I said, man, I think everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to it. Nate, I agree with you. You know that the best is yet to come because Trey Lance is the real deal, and you're going to see him next year show you that he's a real deal. Now, my personal opinion, I wish they would have played him all year because I think if they would have played him all year, we might have had a better record. We might have even been a number 1 seed because even with some of the injuries, they had enough talent around him to be able to win games. And to me, if Kyle could build an offense around RG3, he could have built an offense around Trey. But that's fine. He stuck with his laurels, like you said. He stuck to his guns. He went with his plan, and it's working. Jimmy, you know, for the most part, have played well. The defense have taken a step. The offense have taken a step. So we know that Jimmy, you know, is on his way out, and it's going to be Trey. And as you said, looking at the NFC and the NFC West, we all going to be running this thing for a while. So, yeah, we all stepping into the best time to be a 49er fan. And if not this year, winning the Super Bowl, we going to win one here soon with Trey Lance. So, like I said, the future is bright. I think we all excited. And like I said, we even going to be more excited after we beat these boys on Saturday night.
Absolutely.
All right, fellas. Well, for 9 and 8, the faithful boys been good. P-Warrior_9er. Y'all know what it is. Bang, bang to the gang. We out of here.